Well, kids are back in school, and many of them are taking classes from home online. And they're doing so for hours at a time. And it's important for those kids to make sure that they're doing things right so they don't end up with, I guess, a pain in the neck. We're joined now by Dr. Daniel Park, who's an orthopedic spine surgeon. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's talk about setting up a workspace for kids at home. So many of us are trying to set up workspaces. It might be the kitchen table. It might be an impromptu desk. How should we set this up for kids?
Hi, thanks for having me. This question I get asked frequently, and just like what we were dealing with our adults when we were working from home, the same principles apply. You want to have this 90-90-90 rule. And what that means is that you want the feet planted firmly on the ground. And for our young ones who the chair is too tall for them, you want to give them a support such as a stool so their feet is resting comfortably on the ground. Next, you want their knees to be bent at 90 degrees. And then you want their back to be supported by the back support. And the reason why you want that is you want your head to be centered over your pelvis. If the head is too much in front, such as if you're slouching, the back muscles are under tension and it can cause some muscle pain and fatigue. If you're reclined too much, the head is behind your pelvis and that can cause some cramping in your back. So you want that proper position where the head is centered over your pelvis. Next, when they're at the desk, you want their arms to be resting comfortably along the table, maybe a little bit lower. And then lastly, you want the screen that they're looking at to be at the level of their eye. I know a lot of our kids are using iPads or their cell phone when they're doing their Zoom meetings. And the tendency is for us to look down, and that can cause what we call tech neck, where the neck muscles fatigue and they can have neck pain. What you want to do is prop it up so ultimately they're looking at the same field of vision at the same level of their screen and their neck.
Now, when a kid, let's say, does develop tech neck, because they're not just doing this for school, you know, the kids have phones, they're doing this all the time anyway. How long is that a lasting issue, or, I mean, with proper alignment, will those types of aches and pains go away?
So what we know about tech neck, it's a muscle strain, it's a muscle fatigability, because again, if we're looking down, the back of our muscles in our neck are constantly working and they fatigue and they cause pain. So it's a reversible cause. So tips that we can do is limit the amount of time that we're looking down. We can miss our one message here, text message here if we can. But ultimately, if we can support it so we're looking more at our eye level, that's going to be the most helpful pointer.
All right, then kids are sitting there, as I mentioned, for hours at a time. When you're, I guess, a parent of a child who is at home doing online learning, how often should we encourage them to get up and move, and how important is that?
Yeah, so prolonged sitting can cause neck pain and back pain because you're just stuck in one position. There's really no guidance on what the time limit should be, but what I would recommend is anytime there's a transition between classes or there's a little break, encourage the younger kids to get up and kind of dance around or get all their nervous energy out. And then when it's time to sit back for their lesson, make sure that they're sitting where their head is sitting over their pelvis. The older kids, they can stand up and stretch. They can do circles with their neck to kind of get some range of motion back. But ultimately, when they're doing their lessons, make sure that they're sitting properly.
All right, Dr. Daniel Park, an orthopedic surgeon, joining us this morning with great information for families as we all adapt to online learning. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're with Michigan Orthopedic Surgeons. Thank you for your time, Dr. Park.
Thank you.